Good morning. This is our October Michigan Financial Wellness Network Partner Coffee Chat, and I'm Kelly Masters. We have a few folks here in the room. We're going to go around here in just a minute. And I am recording this for those who emailed me to say they had conflicts this morning but want to stay in the loop. And so we're going to cover the content in a very efficient manner. But today I want to start, and I also want to say our next meeting is November 14th. So we're switching it up a little bit for the fall. Typically we've met on Wednesdays, but I thought, well, let's try a different day of the week and see if that works for more people or fewer people. And we'll go from there going into the first of the year. So October, November, December, we're meeting on Thursdays, and then we'll decide what we're going to do for first quarter. Let's see if I can get this to advance. So today, I want to just hear from the few folks that are in the room. What is it that you need, or like, what do you have to offer? Like, I guess, what brought you to the meeting today? And then I will do the updates for some of the flagship initiatives that are kind of centrally executed, but are statewide. We are looking for sponsors for this next year to help support the work of the network and all of the programs that we do. I have Derek on the call who's going to give us a bunch of MCEE updates, Michigan Council on Economic Education. And then I have those dates listed there so everyone can put them in their calendar, November 14th and December 12th. Oh, and I want to try something new this month, which I haven't done in a long time. So if you guys who are on the call, there's only a few of you this morning, but I want to do a little poll. So if you can answer the poll for me, just because I haven't used this in a while, I thought I would incorporate it this morning. It's one question. And if we had a room full of people, this would be very useful to guide the conversation this morning. So I wanted to just incorporate it and see what kind of feedback we got. Okay, so the poll was, what brings you to today's meeting? What brings you to this Zoom? And is it a social reason, just seeing everybody again after a long summer, getting caught up on what's happening in Michigan, learning about a specific topic or program, to ask for help, to offer help, or other? So it looks like we have folks are here to offer help. That's always good. Someone's asking for help. Somebody's looking for information about a specific program or topic, and someone else is looking to get caught up on what's happening in Michigan. So those who are on the call, can someone unmute and tell me, do you see the poll results in front of you? Like, they're on my screen and I'm screen sharing, but I don't know if you see these poll results yourself.
No.
No? Okay, so it's just my view. Okay. So that's helpful to know. Thank you for being my my test group. So, okay, Derek, I'm saving you for later. But if we could have maybe Deb go ahead and unmute, and Deb Morrison, and just share the organization you're representing and what it is that brought you here today.
I'm Deb Morrison from the Lake Odessa Community Library, and so I'm logging in. This is my morning to open the library, but I'm interested in, like, if you're doing the book again in the spring for the sharing for our young kiddos. So
yes, and I'm going to talk about that this morning. I'm glad you're here. So our Smart Money Kids Read is what you're looking for. Yeah, and you guys have participated how many years now?
I'm gonna say 2 good ones, and then we had some when you offered them so at least 3 or 4 years, but
yeah, because I know that
I've done it. So
I know the name of your library. We've been doing it now. This will be our 11th year, believe it or not. Crazy. All right. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. And thank you for emailing me too. You're like, have I missed something? All right. So Michelle, why don't you go ahead and unmute and just share your name and your organization and what brought you here today?
Okay, yeah, I'm Michelle Carley from
the Big Easy bookkeeping company, and we offer a do-it-yourself accounting software program for small businesses and nonprofits. And I thought I'd offer my help to see how I can help with this organization, So,
Okay.
mhm.
And you've
Thank you.
also been part of the Fempreneur Summit, which I'm going to touch on today as well.
That's true. Yes, earlier this year. Yeah, that was good. Okay.
And then Derek, you want to just introduce yourself, but I have your information in a couple of slides.
Sure, I'm Derek D'Angelo, president of the Michigan Council on Economic Education.
And you do something else too.
Yes, I am director of education for the Foundation for Economic Education, which is more of the national facing organization. So those are the two hats I wear.
Now that you're quote retired from teaching.
Yep. Yep.
Retired, but not retired. Okay, so the updates that I need to share, Fempreneur Summit, Funding the Future. I got updates from the Funding the Future organization to share our Smart Money Kids Read and then our Smart Money Magic Show, which is still available, but we don't have an overarching sponsor for that any longer. So the first thing I want to share is our Fempreneur Summit. And I may have shared a different date last spring, but we had to change it. So I want to make sure that everyone has the correct date on their calendar. So the Fempreneur Summit for women-run, women-owned businesses. It could be solopreneurs, it could be small businesses, enterprise, but women-owned and operated businesses. March 19th, it is a Wednesday, March 19th, same location. It'll be in the conference center on the campus of Ward Church, which is right off of 275, 6 Mile Road, and Haggerty are graciously hosting us again this year. So make sure that you have the correct date on your calendar. And we are in the process of the early stages of planning. And so we're kind of outlining right now what we want the day to look like, coming up with the theme. And then a little bit later, we'll start reaching out to identify speakers and facilitators. We're going to do a lot more at small table, like small group work this year than we have in the past couple of years. So just wanted to make sure folks had the correct day on their calendar for this next year, March 19th, not whatever date I had given you. I think it was actually in May. We had to move it. So, okay, so Funding the Future, as you know, is our 75-minute financial literacy music-based program. And Carter Halsey will be in Michigan the week of March 31st through April 4th. And as of 2 days ago, the schedule looked like this. There are openings on March 31st. There's one tentative performance already scheduled on April 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and then the day of April 4th is still completely open. So just to remind everyone, it is possible, depending on proximity, to do 2 shows in one given day. It just, again, depends on the time of each show and the proximity, because it is like a 2-hour setup. So it depends on how far apart the locations would be. So if anyone works with middle or high schools here in Michigan and would like to make an introduction, I will gladly put the right person in touch with the scheduler, whose name is Cheryl, and she's fantastic. So you can just reach out to me and I will help make that connection, facilitate that connection. And you don't even have to do the legwork. If you have a good contact person, you can just pass that information along. And I mean, it's helpful if you have a strong relationship, obviously, to share initial information and kind of do a setup or maybe an introductory email, but that's not required. We're happy to do the legwork for that. So we have capacity for the spring to add several additional shows to the spring tour with Carter Halsey, who's coming to Michigan that week. So for the librarians of the world, public or district libraries who are part of the RIDES or TLN interlibrary delivery system. We are doing Smart Money Kids Read again next year. Thrilled to say that our generous sponsor is back. And so the books themselves are provided to libraries and their families at no cost by Michigan credit unions with funding from the Michigan Credit Union Foundation. So I manage the program and work with our sponsor to provide the funding so that we can acquire the books and make them available to Michigan libraries to use in their story times during Financial Literacy Month, which is April, at no cost. So in return, libraries make the commitment to utilize the books in a story time or, activity within the month of April, do the marketing, give attribution, utilize the books, and make sure that each family who participates in their events goes home with a book to keep. Last spring, I put out a very detailed survey. We wanted feedback on the book that we had developed the last 2 years. As you remember, we created new original titles under the Owl and Otter title. And the feedback that I received from, goodness, I think I got feedback from like 120 or 30 libraries. It was fantastic, very detailed, very thorough feedback, and I was very appreciative of that. Everyone loves the books. However, they were too mature and over the heads of the typical storytime attendee. So we heard that loud and clear, and we love our Owl and Otter series. But because of the age being a little bit too old for the typical storytime children between like 3 and 5 years old, we looked at the universe of books that are available in print that meet all of our criteria, and there are like 7 criteria that a book needs to meet. We landed back on Cinders McCloud's series of Save It, or of Bunny Money. And Save It is the book that bubbled up to the top as checking most boxes. So, and I know that many librarians have told me that over the years, because we used Save It, it was 5 years ago when it was our book for Smart Money Kids Read. And librarians, even to this day, will use that Cinders McCloud series, her Money Bunny books, to supplement the books we've chosen during their story times. So I know it's a crowd favorite. I know that librarians really like it. It has very big, simple illustrations. The Save It story, what I like about it is it also touches on the concepts of earning money and saving money. So it's not just saving, but, Honey is the bunny's name. She babysits her siblings and she earns her carrots, which is their currency. So this year's book is Cinders McCloud's Save It. The online book request form is going to be distributed here in the next couple of days. I'm just finishing the online form right now. And then the link to request copies of that book will be sent out in the next couple of days through the listserv from the Library of Michigan. So as you know, we partner with the Library of Michigan to distribute that invitation through their the MishLib listserv. So any library in the state of Michigan who participates in RIDES or TLN can request copies of this year's book to utilize in their story times. And some libraries that are very small, they might only request 8 copies. Other libraries like Detroit or Muskegon, where they have 20 branches, they might request 400 copies. So no request is too small. And we do give some guidelines in the form that you'll complete based on your class size, right? So libraries in Michigan are ordered or kind of organized by class size, how many, the population that they serve. So it's just a guide. Some smaller libraries that do special programming in April, let's say they go into an elementary school or they go into a Head Start, they might request more copies of the book because they're doing special programming beyond their normal, like 10 o'clock on Tuesdays story time. And that's fine. We just give a guideline based on class size, but that's not a fixed or hard and fast rule. We will work on an activity supplement like we have done the last several years. Another thing that came out of the survey is that librarians loved receiving via email a packet of activity supplements that they can use. It includes usually some printables. It might be a word search. It might be, sheets of money that they can duplicate and cut out and have the kids, buying their snack at the story time. Or so we are going to work on that, but that'll come later. We will get it emailed out to all partnering libraries and partnering credit unions, though, before April 1st, for sure. Then book distribution will happen March 3rd. Now, I say that with fingers crossed because, when you're dealing with ships and trains and semis and unpredictable weather and all the things, if we don't have any unforeseen delays, then this is what will happen. The books get delivered to the Novi Library. Thank goodness for their partnership. We take that massive shipment of 16,000 copies of this book and we break it down into all of those individual orders, like 8 copies to 400 copies. And then we put those on the rides and TLN trucks that Monday. So March 3rd is our target date for your library or for your books to leave Novi, headed out to all of our partnering libraries. And this past year, we had about 170 across Michigan. So however long it takes for that rides truck to get from Novi to your library location, you can kind of guesstimate when you should start looking for those books to arrive in your branch. Okay. We do it a month in advance because nobody likes to have librarians worried about whether or not their books are going to arrive before April 1st or whenever their story time is. So this is why we work very aggressively and very proactively over the summer and into the fall to make sure that we have a timeline of about 20 weeks we have to have from the time we order the books to where they get delivered. So this is our plan. And we are on schedule in terms of the books have already been ordered. Well, they were evaluated, selected, ordered, and hopefully they will arrive in time for us to send them out to you on March 3rd. And then again, just asking that programs be held throughout April at whatever date and time works for your library, for your story time or your community. And then in case you're not familiar with the book Save It, I know y'all can get access to it or, put it in your collection at your library. But this is what Penguin Random House has to say about the story. A charming introduction to simple money concepts in which a little bunny learns about the power and satisfaction that come with saving money. And my anecdote here is that the concepts I see in the story that could be drawn out in your activities or in your talks with your children is that it does touch on earning. It touches on goal setting, which they call dreams and wishes. It touches on saving. It touches on planning and also prioritizing your wants, right? We sometimes talk about prioritizing wants versus needs, but in this story, it actually prioritizes within the wants category. So Honey, who is the featured character of the story, that's her name, earns 2 carrots a week for taking care of her siblings, her 5 siblings, who are so loud and bouncy, she wishes she had a place of her own to escape to for some peace and quiet. So what's a bunny to do? Get creative and figure out a savings plan, even if it means foregoing a treat or 2. But saving is worth it because with a little patience and perseverance, Honey would be able to make her dream of having her own space come true. So that's just in a nutshell what the publisher has to say about the story. And I'm happy to answer questions when I get through with all the updates on any one of these initiatives. Our Smart Money Magic Show, as you know, we no longer have an umbrella sponsor, but we still have the material, the program, the performer, everything. So if anyone wants to bring this magic show to their community organization, community center, K-5 students in schools, we would just need to find a sponsor or underwriting support to make this happen. It's always hugely well received. The kids are engaged, the staff love it. And we can do shows for as many as 400 or 500 children in an assembly setting in the gymnasium or auditorium, which is what we've typically done. So if anyone has thoughts on that or wants to sponsor a show or bring a show to their local elementary school or kids group, reach out and let me know, and we can see how we can make that possible. Or if anyone has ideas on another umbrella sponsor, that's ideal, because then I know what the budget is. I can do the outreach through our ISDs, and I do all of the legwork and the scheduling with our schools. Now I'm going to turn it over to Derek. If you want to tell us, of all the amazing things that you have going on, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. And this is your time.
Sure. Did you put everything on this one slide then? I just want to make sure I know what we got.
Yeah, I just put all the topics in bullet points here, unless you want me to. Do you want to share your screen?
No, that's okay. I can, I just wanted to make sure I knew, so I knew what to expect. So, oh, that's great, Kelly. So we've got a lot going on right now. Is Economic Education Month in October. So it's busy with a lot of evening professional development opportunities for teachers virtually delivered. We last week had an in-person at the Federal Reserve for Teacher Night at the Fed, which is a great night when we bring teachers in, and we provided the Senate Fiscal Agency's chief economist to talk to the teachers about what he does and feed the teachers really well and give them some continuing ed credits. And they even got a small stipend from Amazon, or not from Amazon, but of an Amazon gift card, $20 Amazon gift card for attending. So been busy the last couple of weeks with that stuff. Coming up in the future here, we're going to have a personal finance challenge and an economics challenge in April of 2025. It's going to be the third week in April or so. And there's some different ways that people can get involved with that, mostly with the personal finance challenge, as we always need judges or people to help with developing the case study. Personal finance challenge, the students take the role of a financial planning firm, and they look at a case study that's given to them and provide recommendations for what that family should do to get their finances in order. And we have judges that are volunteers that evaluate those student presentations and select a winner from their room, and then they have a quiz bowl for determining the champion. And both events are held at the Federal Reserve Bank. We are trying to launch for
I'm
the
sorry,
second
Derek,
year.
before
Yeah.
you move on, do you have the date for that yet? I know they're in April.
Yeah, we do. Just because the Fed gets so booked, we actually have the exact date. Hopefully I have it on the calendar right here.
Are you doing them both on the same day this year?
Yep, April 23rd.
Great.
And
Cool.
so we're trying to get going with Detroit Public Schools, again, investment clubs. So we last year created 12 lessons that the clubs could use after school with students, with slides and student worksheets to teach them the ins and outs of investing. And so that requires a couple different things. I mean, we can definitely have volunteers that would go and talk to these clubs after school or during lunches, if that's when they meet. Sometimes some schools find it easier to meet during lunch rather than after school. And then prizes for the investment club competitions that we typically do quarterly, couple month long investment competitions with the stock market game. Next, I'll talk about personal finance inquiries that have been developed.
Wait, can I ask a question?
You can.
So the Detroit investment, what?
I need to remember to pause, let you ask questions.
Sorry. So investment clubs,
Yes.
you said there are 12 lessons. How many schools
We had 5 schools last year.
5 schools. So, and is this for high school only?
Yes, well, that's where it's been done, is with the high schools.
Okay.
Mhm. The lessons probably be a little bit too high for the middle school level, I would think, but
Sure.
not saying they couldn't be adapted. They're in Google Docs, so they could always be adapted.
List of the schools that you were in last year, and then I can see if I have contacts at schools that you're not in.
Well, we work with Greg Evans, who is the financial literacy consultant for the entire district. The schools that we were in last year, Cass Tech, Academy of the Americas, Southeastern, East English Village, and one more. I'm picturing the logos in my head right now.
Well, Academy of the Americas is one that I was gonna say, but that's great, you're already in there.
Yeah, yeah. So
You're
if I
so
remember that.
progressive. Okay,
Yep.
cool, thank you.
Yep, welcome. Personal finance inquiries. We've developed 6 different personal finance inquiries based upon the fact of meeting with teachers and not knowing how the personal finance standards are going to be taught in each district. Some districts might have a standalone class, but most districts will probably have it integrated into something else, likely econ for the majority of people, but in a lot of other creative ways. And so in an econ course, the teacher might only have a couple of weeks to handle personal finance, and we didn't want it to just be a dumping of terms onto the students. So what we did was create personal finance inquiries. It would take about a week to get completed. And each of these inquiries hit on multiple standards, because that was the thing, is that a lot of teachers said, well, when we teach something, it really, can hit more than one standard at a time. So rather than teaching the standards in silos, let's look at teaching them a little bit more holistically. So each of these inquiries has a compelling question, like, should I buy or lease a vehicle? Will I ever be able to purchase a home? How will taxes affect my life? Will I ever be able to afford to buy a home? Is right there as well. So yeah, we've got a lot of these inquiries built out already, and they take a week to complete. And most of these inquiries are about 4 standards. 4 of the 6 or 7 standards are hit in each inquiry. So a teacher could theoretically take, I would think, about any of these 2 inquiries and hit all the standards that they need to, and complete everything in a couple-week period, and give some students some practical application of that personal finance content. All right.
Question?
And yes, yes.
Okay,
I was
so
trying to pause.
I didn't know if you were taking a breath. Personal finance inquiries. Okay, so this is curriculum, right? This is curriculum that's been developed
Correct.
that will help facilitate the accomplishment of the standards that were passed, House Bill 5190 or whatever it was, I forget now.
Yes.
So how is that curriculum disseminated to high schools? Is it automatically being sent somehow, or do people have to know about it to then request it?
Yeah, they have to know about it. So we've shared it with the Department of Education, which has a web page of resources for personal finance curriculum and programs and things to share with districts. But it's really all a pull, not a push, from Department of Education. So, we have them available. I don't think we have them on the Michigan Council site yet, but they're on the Foundation for Economic Education, the teachers.fee.org website.
So if someone like me were just interested, would I have access to go and see them?
Yeah, you just have to, I haven't looked at the Michigan site to see if they have those up yet. I was told that they were going to be put up. They might be up yet, they might not be. I haven't checked recently. But if you went to teachers.fee.org, anybody can create an account there. It's no financial cost at all to create an account. It takes about 30 seconds, and then you would go to the financial freedom program page and find all the personal finance content there.
Okay. And so this particular curriculum, the personal finance inquiries, are those, so what was, is it state specific or is it more generic, like for a national use? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
Michigan's
no, this is
standards are going
national.
to be different than, okay,
Yeah, this is national use because of the way the Michigan standards are written. The Michigan standards are written to mirror the national standards.
gotcha. Okay.
So standard one for us is earning income. Standard one for the country is earning income. But
Okay.
our standards are very big and broad and just basically like one sentence for each standard. Whereas if
Yeah.
you look at the national standards, it breaks it down into sub areas and more gives more direction for what might be taught with each of those standards.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
mean, there's so many things that don't make a lot of sense with the way things are done. I mean, the Department of Education will honestly never even know who's teaching a standalone course and who's just got it integrated into econ. They aren't going to collect that data. They will only know whether or not that district said that they taught the personal finance standards, which they all will
Right.
because they have to say that whether they're doing it or not. So you don't, there's no way for us to say to the Department of Education, like there, you can in some states, um, say, okay, who teaches personal finance in your state? And we want to provide them free materials. We don't even have that information in Michigan. It's not that they have and won't share it, they just don't even have it. Versus some states that share it widely with anybody who's willing to, provide materials for teachers. So yeah, it's a little frustrating. Makes it difficult.
Yeah.
Um, some
Right.
other programs that we have, just to kind of wrap up, Smart Path, which has been sponsored by the Michigan Credit Union Foundation for um, really grades 1 through 8 have content on Smart Path, which is more of a hybrid platform where they would interact with the content a little bit with a teacher with a projector on a computer and a little bit with handouts that can be printed out, manipulatives that can be worked with a classroom, and that's available. Links on our website, michiganecon.org, for SmartPath. A couple of other quick things. The Invest in Girls program is undergoing a little bit of changes with our national CEE right now, but we don't have any programs running in person, but there are usually virtual options that happen 2 or 3 times a year, and that's where it really could take a lot of different forms. But there's 3 different parts. One is where the girls are learning the introductory concepts to be the chief financial officer of their life. The second one is focused more on investment, called Be the Chief Investment Officer of Your Life. And then part 3 is Be the Chief Executive Officer of Your Future. And that usually talks a little bit more about career focuses within finance for girls. So there's a lot of different ideas that I have and how I'd want to integrate it in. A lot of what we do depends upon funding because we are not funded by the state of Michigan. We're just funded by, donations. But Invest in Girls has a lot of opportunities. You really could work with sports teams and do it, during one of their days of practice each week. There's a lot of flexibility there to do the Invest in Girls program, both in person or virtual. But the in person obviously requires a little bit more resources and funding. Last couple things, we do work with the Foundation for Economic Education to offer FIT certification for any. It's really more focused on teachers. It doesn't mean if you're not a teacher, you can't get it, but it's really making sure that teachers can show that they know the content knowledge to teach personal finance. So there's either learning materials that they can go through and then take the test, or if they feel comfortable with the content already, they could go take the test and show that that they've received FIT certification. So it's financial intelligence teaching certification. It doesn't. It's not a requirement with the state of Michigan or anything like that. It's more of just for them to show the community, their principal, whoever, that they have that content knowledge. Last couple things, we're uh, working with a school right now, a DECA, at Henry Ford II High School in Sterling Heights that has a DECA program that is doing a personal finance outreach They've got two big things they're going to try to do as part of their DECA competition that they're going to present to the DECA board to try to win part of their DECA competition. And they're going to elementary schools and talking to those elementary schools students about personal finance. That's the first piece. And then the second piece is that they are going to do a week-long start a Roth IRA drive in the high school, where everybody who shows that they've opened up a Roth IRA, because a lot of times this would take, if they're under 18, a parent's signature at home to start that up. Everybody who does that will get a Chick-fil-A lunch on Friday of that week. So they'll have a big celebration with a Chick-fil-A lunch for everybody who's open up a Roth IRA, and they are going to do that program in a couple months here. So that is,
I love that.
yeah, it's something for real, that will hopefully will really change some of those kids' lives in the future. And the last thing, a new economic development challenge that we're working with International Academy students to develop a My Town Economic Development Challenge, and that will be hosted at the Fed in March. And just got the approval yesterday for that. And we're going to need volunteers to judge that, as well as maybe work with the students along the way to help them along. It's My Town Economic Development Challenge will let the students focus on a local issue in their community, as it ties back to the bigger issue in Michigan. One of the students who want to start this competition up said there's an issue of brain drain in Michigan. What can students do in their own communities to help, drive people staying in Michigan? And so they're going to do an economic development challenge to focus on their local community and what might be able to be done to attract people to stay. So that's some of the things we've got going on.
That's exciting. I love that student-driven student voice. So tell me, and the Invest in Girls, is that high school? High school?
Yeah, most typically it's high school.
Okay. So would that be something appropriate for, let's say, Girl Scout troops?
Likely older ones. And because when I say that, I think the content is even middle school could handle it. It's mostly high school students, but I don't think it's over.
Well, there are some troops do continue. A lot of troops do dissolve because the girls get so distracted and so busy with so many opportunities that a lot of troops do dissolve before high school. But there are some that do continue through high school. They tend to be smaller, though. There might be 3 or 4 girls in a troop. Right.
Yeah, no, it's very appropriate for groups like that. Any group of girls really is perfect for that.
That's very cool. All right. So does anyone have questions for Derek on all this? I don't want to short shrift. I know I had my questions. I just plugged them in as we went, but I don't want to ignore if anybody else has questions. So then my last question for the Brain Trust is, each month, we've had the summer off, so there's was a gap. I wanted to get all of the MCEE stuff out there. But are there topics that you all would be interested in having either a guest speaker or exploring in more depth at an upcoming meeting? A few things that were posed last year was having someone discuss student-run credit unions, which are typically inside of schools, and looking at the different models and the benefits and challenges of each of those models. Someone else had mentioned perhaps a personal finance session actually for our own members. I'm not sure that person has been back to a meeting since that recommendation was made, so I don't know if there is interest in that sort of a topic. And then the personal finance implementation, which Derek, we just barely touched on today, how it's being implemented in districts across the state. I'm not sure if we need to delve into that more other than what you said today, right? It's being done in so many different ways in different parts of the state. I would like to get MSU Extension back, and because people have had questions about what it is that they offer, doing more of a deep dive into kind of like we did with MCE today, but with MSU Extension. Smart Path, we did a deep dive. We did get that accomplished at some point last winter. And then AI and financial literacy too. We did those two we did get accomplished. So does anyone have additional thoughts on either guest speakers or the kinds of things that you would want to learn more about? We have, well over 100 people in our network that have lots and lots of expertise and experience. So if you have thoughts, you can either plug them into the chat or just unmute and share your ideas about future topics. And if not, you can always email me too. Like if you think of something later, just shoot me an email. You all have that mifinancialwellness@gmail.com is my email address. So as I always try to keep us on schedule, and today we are 10 minutes ahead of schedule because it's a smaller group, I am going to adjourn the formal meeting and I'm going to stop the recording. And then if there are any kind of offline conversations that we want to have among ourselves, we can do that now. And just want to remind everybody that our next meeting is November 14th and then December 12th. And then depending on participation, we might go back to Wednesdays. Wednesdays seem to work well for lots of people. So I hope that everyone is registering for those upcoming meetings. And I hope everyone has a good rest of October. Happy Halloween, safe, and all of that good stuff. And we'll see you back here in 4 weeks. Take care.